Well, firstly, I want to say thank you all for taking time to listen to my spiel here, in particular because it is not lost on me that I'm the only thing standing between you and a cocktail in Vegas. So I promise you that I only have 97 PowerPoint slides to get through here today. All joking aside, though, I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about the why behind what we do. I think a lot of technology companies get up here and just want to baffle you with all the amazing things. And yeah, we're pretty proud of what we do, and I'll show you some of that later. But I think it's the most important thing of all of my presentation for you to understand why we do what we do. And I want to echo a number of the things that have been said. You'll probably hear some themes, both with what Dave said and the introduction that was just made, because we believe what was just said, and that is that technology exists to help agents be better with the people that they work with, period. It's not about the technology, it's about the people. So our role then is to have the computer do what the computer's good at so the person can do what only a human being can do. Okay. My clicker working here? There we go. All right, so let's start off by talking about how do agents actually find business. Dave touched on this, the idea of this second wave of technology having been around lead gen. And our strong belief is that even with all of the lead gen technology that's out there and the portals and everything else, fundamentally, this is the correct order in which agents should find business. First from their existing sphere, and by the way, everybody, including the brand new agent that just came out of the school, has a sphere of influence. That's people that know, like, and trust you. Everyone has that. Okay? That is and should be your primary source of business. And secondly, prospecting, and thirdly, responding to these internet inbound leads. The problem is the industry, I think, and this is guidance I would give you as you think about this, and I would ask you to give to your agents. The industry makes so much noise about number 3 that it becomes overwhelming and it drowns everything else out. Our system here is designed to do stuff in this order. Does all 3, but in this order. Okay, so let's talk about that and the why behind it. Sorry, there seems to be a thing with the old clicker here. There we go. All right, so the average agent in the United States gets their business from those 3 sources I just listed in this proportion. About half from their sphere and half from these other prospecting and lead gen activities. And you might look at that and say, well, yeah, that's about right. Half and half sounds reasonable. Here's the problem with that. The sphere closes at a 70% close rate, and those other activities close at a 1% close rate. So simply put, why would you not exhaust all the opportunity in the green before you wasted any time, energy, and money on the part in the red? Now, there comes a time, don't get me wrong, you guys are making investments, your brokerage is making investments on your behalf in lead generation technology. It is a part of the puzzle. But an agent shouldn't be squirreling around where there's a 1% close rate and diverting their attention from where there's a 70% close rate until they've exhausted that. Therefore, when we look at it and the way we've designed our system, this is how it looks for an average Moxi Works agent. The average Moxi Works user agent gets 82% of their business from their sphere and spends proportionately far less time chasing around on leads and answering questions at Friday night at 11 p.m. about what the color of the tile in the bathroom is on a listing they've never seen. So there's also a lifestyle component to this, but importantly for you all, there's a productivity improvement here, and I'll come back to that later. Here's the other reason this is so important. This is a chart of two basic trends. The bottom, the blue line on the bottom, is the annual home sales every year since 2008. And guess what? It doesn't change a whole heck of a lot. It's about 5 million units. Goes up a little in the good times, goes down a little in the bad times, but basically about 5 million units trade hands. The yellow line is the traffic on the portals in that same period of time. So guess what? You got a lot of looky-loos and a lot of tire kickers, and I can tell you I'd much rather be representing a seller on the blue line than working with a buyer, maybe, sort of, kind of, on the yellow line. And so really this is what our system is designed to do. And so finally, just to make sure you're all awake, does anybody know what this is? Deck chairs? Yes, and they're on the Titanic. Because that's what we believe. If you spend all your time just on these lead gen activities, you're basically rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic of your business, because you're going to go down with the ship by not paying attention to your sphere. So this is why we built Moxi Works. It's to make an agent great with their sphere, help them stay on track to reach their goals, which I'll come back to, automate everything for them, and then critically, and this is where you come in particular, is give you, and by you I mean the people in this room, the coaching tools to help the agent achieve their goals. That's one of the things I think that's tremendously underinvested in this industry is tools for you. We always talk about agent tools. What are the tools for you to help an agent do better? And so we'll show you some of that as well. Okay, I'm going to talk about 3 concepts now that are underneath the products that I'm going to show you. Okay, so at Moxi Works, we're big believers, as I know you are, in community involvement and charitable giving. We have a thing called the Moxi Fund, and we're much smaller than you. We're 65 people now and based in Seattle. And we have this Moxi Fund every year where employees give and donate money and time to our community causes. And so we set a goal for ourselves. The goal was $17,000 last year. And it was going along fine. And we got to early December and we hit the goal. So the team said, hey, we hit the goal. What do we get? And I said, well, you don't get anything because since we hit it early, why don't we do a stretch goal? Why don't we make it $19,000? See if we can come up with $2,000. And I was a pessimist, I have to be honest, because it was early December and everybody's spending money on Christmas and so forth. So I didn't think it would really happen. And so to provide an extra incentive, I said, and if you raise an additional $2,000, I will shave my head. And you can guess that after having issued that challenge, here's the before and after. And even so, I had to actually shave the word Moxi into my head, which I did. And I went to Inman this way, okay? But here's the kicker, folks. This was a challenge issued in early December, expecting it to be done by the end of the year. How long did it take my team to raise the incremental $2,000? Whoever said 15 minutes, pretty close. 57 minutes. Goals work. Goals make a difference. People respond to goals. People want to win. Our culture is all about that, and I think almost anyone that enters real estate as a profession has that built into them, right? It's just part of what we do, and I think that is a tremendously underexploited part of our business, and therefore it's an important part of our system. Okay, next concept is checklists and a sales methodology. How many of you have been through a sales training? Show of hands. That's probably everybody in the room, right? We've all been through sales trainings, probably multiple sales trainings. And they're good, right? I mean, you get in the room, all kinds of exciting information. It sounds good. It really does work. And you leave, and what happens? Right? You forget about it. And so I've got a quick question. Any aviation geeks in the audience? Anybody a pilot out there? Oh, come on. Yes, in the back. Okay. Anybody want to venture a guess on what a B744 is as an airplane? What kind of airplane that is? It's a Boeing 747-400. Yes, exactly. Well done. This is a license plate on a car owned by a friend of mine. Her name is Ann Simpson, and she retired last year from Delta Airlines, and when she got certified to fly the Boeing 747-400, she was one of 3 female pilots in the world certified for that airplane. Super accomplished, super experienced. I would argue that she's like many good real estate agents. You think about, when you get on a plane like this and somebody like that's flying the plane, do you worry about it? No, you get in there, you have your cocktails, you get off the other end, halfway around the world. You didn't worry about it. Why? Because you knew and trusted that the person in the cockpit had the experience. That's how a consumer sees an agent. They're trusting themselves to that agent to have the experience to do it. So what's the difference between what she does and what an agent does? The difference is from the moment she gets in the cockpit and all through the flight on those screens in front of her, which you can't see very well in this picture, but the screens that are in front of her there have checklists for every single phase of that flight. And even though she, when she retired, had 20,000 flight hours, that's several years sitting in the cockpit worth of experience, she still used those checklists every single time. Why? Because human beings fall prey, and I'm no exception. All of us in this room fall prey to 2 basic things. We work on the things we like and ignore those that we don't. And when stuff gets busy, we have stuff that falls on the ground, right? So systems are there. Computers are really good at this. They keep track of stuff, and they remind us about stuff. So how about let's use it? Because back to the training, I know you guys have investments in training. You make investments in training. And sorry, I'm not sure why. There we go. This is, as we know, where training goes to die. because it sits on the shelf, right? You come back all fired up, and then 3 weeks later, you're back to your old habits. So a system, we don't actually call our system a CRM. I mean, everybody looks at it and goes, oh, that's a CRM. We see it as a productivity system because it just keeps the agent on track with the things they ought to be doing. It's not just a glorified database. Okay. How many of you had one of these at one point in your lives? Yeah, almost everybody. Okay. So this is my third concept for you to contemplate, and this has been touched on both by the comments before me, and I think you all know this anyway. Basically, with regard to technology, when an agent enters the business of real estate, we hand them one of these. We go, here's your tool set, and we may give them some training on it, we may not, and then we just expect them to figure it out. But how many of you knew when you had one of these what every blade was for, exactly how and when to use it, or did you even remember that that blade was on there when you actually needed to use it? That's what we do to agents with technology. They have no idea what all this stuff is, and even if we provided them training, now 6 months have gone by, they need the thing, they don't even remember it or much less how to use it, right? So the problem is when we hand the agent this, what they actually see is something that looks like that. By the way, that is a knife you can actually buy. It was actually manufactured with the 87 blades that it has. So the point is, if you hand an agent something that has the perception of this, you're not going to succeed very well. Therefore, what we've done is instead of giving them the knife that has a million blades they don't know how to use, we give them a system that behind it has a power strip like this that allows you guys as the brokerage and also the agents to plug the things in that they need when they need them and have them all work together. This is the problem. Our industry, for whatever set of reasons, has not figured out that all the stuff you heard Dave talk about, all these exciting new things that come along every day, actually should just work with the tools that are already in place and share data and not require yet another password to be logged in and where is the link to the thing and all the stuff that we suffer through, it should all just plug in and work together. And by the way, 2 years from now, when the thing that was shiny today is no longer shiny and there's the new shiny thing, you ought to be able to unplug one of these plugs and plug something new in and have that work too. So that's what our system does uniquely. And this is just a small sampling of the partnerships we have in place today. Some of these are duplicative, by the way, with some of the NAR Reach companies you heard Dave mention from the NAR Accelerator. But this is an ever-growing list. It numbers over 30 partnerships today, and partners including things that you use like SkySlope or Spacio or Moviesy that's actually here at the conference, I understand, and I'm meeting with their CEO tomorrow. So the idea is to have all this stuff plug in and use the data that your agents are putting into the system. All right. Because ultimately what we're trying to do for everybody is this. And yes, in fact, this is something you can also buy. It is a chocolate bar made by the Swiss manufacturer of the knives. But here's the bottom line to all of this. We always talk about recruiting and retention in this industry. Our strong belief is that if you fix the agent productivity problem, you fix the recruiting and retention problem. Because an agent that you are helping be productive is going to love you for that and is going to stay at your brokerage and is going to tell all their friends to come and join them because of the awesomeness of what is going on here. That is our mission. And by the way, for the record, we don't sell directly to agents. We only sell these capabilities to brokerages like yours because we so strongly believe that it is the brokerage, and you all in particular in this room are the ones that are the point of influence to help that agent. So let's take a quick look at some stuff in the product. I'm sorry, I forgot this one slide here. Before I do, though, the proven success of Moxi agents is this. A Moxi agent that uses the system elements that I'm about to show you does 40% better than they did before they started using the system. So this isn't some hocus pocus shiny object, as Dave calls them. This is provable across, in our case now, over 80,000 agents using our stuff. So this is what the Moxi dashboard looks like. We believe it's super clean and easy, and that's for a reason. We do the design before we write a line of code because we believe it's that important. Super simple dashboard, and here's the trick. It's integrated with Gmail and the whole Google suite. So your agents will be, many of them I'm sure have a Gmail account. Those that don't can easily, of course, get one. And suddenly, everything they're used to is duplicated. So for example, the calendar in the upper left isn't some special secret CRM calendar that nobody ever uses. It's just their Gmail calendar. And in the bottom right, that's where their sphere is. That's where their database is. So those 208 people that you see in the circle there, that's exactly a reflection of the same contacts that are on their phone and in their Gmail. So there's no separation of the data between my phone and my CRM. It's one. In the bottom left-hand corner, by the way, is that goal I talked about. So I'm 19% in this demo example. I'm 19% of my goal. I've closed 2 transactions worth about $1 million each. Now, how does the system know that? Do I have to type that in? No. We track that out of the MLS automatically because we know agents aren't going to enter stuff into the systems like this. So even if they do nothing, it will track their goal. And by the way, I'll show you later, you will see their progress to it as well and be able to coach them better. And in the upper right-hand corner is a simple thing that every agent is trying to do, which is move people in their database from the left-hand side up there where it says marketing through to being a prospect, to being an active, and then closing as a pending. It's a super simple system. So in the bottom left there, if I click on that, I can see that I've got a $300,000 goal that I set for myself as the agent. By the way, you can't use the system if you don't set a goal, a GCI goal for yourself, period. We think it's that important. Now, you can change it at any time, but you must specify a goal. On average, when we talk to clients before they use our system, by the way, 10% of agents have a stated goal. Just sad. How can you be in sales and not have a goal, right? So this alone, just getting them to put the goal in, we believe, changes a lot of behavior. And then, of course, they can drill in themselves and see the performance to it. So here they can see the buyers and sellers and the exact deals and the transactions and who it was. So they have a constant automated ongoing record of the business they're in. So let's talk about how the database gets in there. And by the way, if you only remember one thing from my presentation today, it's that any CRM, ours included, is useless without a database of people. I'm going to say that again. Any CRM is useless without a database of people in it. So if you do one thing only, it's get your agent, once you have access to this system, to put their database in a system like this, okay? Nothing else happens if the system doesn't know the people to work with. Okay, so let's say, though, that I've got my database in there, and now I meet Kuba. We all know and love Kuba, and I want to help him sell his home. I met him on the soccer field sidelines. What do? I don't pull out the special CRM app that I forgot I had. Remember the Swiss Army knife? I just put Kuba in my phone. But because the phone is connected to Gmail in the cloud, and because Moxi's connected to Gmail in the cloud, then when I put him in my phone, suddenly I have a one new in the green there, that one new. That happens automatically just by putting him in my phone or getting a new lead that comes in. Doesn't matter where it comes from. It's one new. So I click on that, and there's Kuba as the new guy. And guess what? Kuba's picture is there. How did that get there? Because we automatically sourced for the agent sorry, maybe I'm standing in the wrong place here with this thing. We sourced the social media profiles. This is live, by the way. This isn't something I concocted. So it found him on Google+, and it found him on LinkedIn. And the agent can just click that and click right over and learn more about Kuba. This is all entirely automated for them. But wait, there's more. We also have an optional product the agent can buy called Secret Agent, which finds all the public records information about their consumer. So here, even though I didn't put it in, it found Kuba's address. It knows some details about him. Also knows stuff which is below the fold here about his personal interests. All about helping that agent be better in their relationship. And then the system says, hey, what do you want to do? Is this someone who's not a client or someone who could be a client? So we're going to say he's a client. And boom, there's my checklist. I didn't have to do a thing. The system created for me a customized checklist that is the things I should be doing with this person now to move them down the field. But maybe I had a conversation and Kuba's actually getting ready to list, I feel like. So I think he's a prospect. So I make him a prospect. But before I do that, I'm going to send him a bunch of automated marketing so that when I get busy and forget to send him stuff, the system is doing it for me. There's a thing built in called the neighborhood news. It sends him an overview of what's going on in the zip code where he lives, or he can modify to wherever he wants on a monthly basis on my behalf, branded to me and you guys as a brokerage. Secondly, I can subscribe him to a multitude of other campaigns, including just listed, just sold, all of which drive back to the website that we're also providing you, which is branded again to both you as a brokerage and me as the agent. So it's a closed loop system between the CRM and the website and all the marketing that goes on around it. And here's what the just listed, just sold campaigns look like as well. So all this stuff is easily automated just by putting Kuba into the system on my phone. But wait, there's more. So now I say, okay, well, he is a prospect, so I think he's a potential seller. So I click that, and here we are. And now I say, well, you know, maybe there's an MLS entry that's already in place there. You just type in the MLS number, we get it out of the MLS. We sweep more than 200 MLSs, more than 85% of the home sale footprint in the United States on a near real-time basis, all less than every 15 minutes. So all this data is available. It's back to what Dave said. Data is the new thing. And so now, when I then enter him as a seller, you'll note he's been moved up there in the blue. He's been moved to being a prospect. And now I have a new checklist. And one of the items on that checklist is I should be creating a seller's presentation for him. So this is that Swiss Army knife thing again. I don't have to remember the CMA tool and what it is and where it is and what the login is that I forgot and the password and everything else because maybe I'm a newer agent. Maybe I don't use it every week. We're supplying you a kick-ass presentation tool called Moxi Present as a part of this system as well. So by clicking that green button that you see there, and this can, by the way, and will be configured for all the third-party things you use, it automatically launches that for me and shares the data, populates Kuba's information, the information about his property and from the MLS, all automatically without me having to lift a finger. So it's all about that data and automating. Remember the power strip? It's all about all the things being plugged in the power strip working together. All right. So now here I am back on my dashboard. Just one final thing. It's not just the contacts that are integrated with Gmail. It's also the calendar, as I mentioned. So you can see today I'm supposed to be creating a buyer's presentation for someone. When I click that item, which by the way, it's on my phone too. When I click that item, it takes me right there and again, provides me with the green button for the tool I need right there. So it's all about cutting these steps out and helping the agent be more effective. But I promised you that there's also stuff for you. So this is what we believe to be the industry's only manager dashboard attached to a system like this. So when you log in as a manager, at first glance you might go, well, that looks very much the same. And yes, it's designed to be very, very similar. And by the way, if any of you are still practicing agents, the system, you can use the system both as an agent and a manager simultaneously. But what this is now is your calendar still on the upper left, but the goals section is now an aggregation of all of the goals and all of the transactions of everybody below you. So instantly, if it's in the MLS, it's in the system, and you can see what's going on. But here's the real killer part of it, I think. So we talked about the importance of coaching your agents. So on the upper right, what that is a list of the agents in your office. And you see the red dot there? There's a simple green, yellow, red traffic light metaphor that tells you how the system thinks someone's doing in reaching their goals. It's not whether they've reached their goal or not. It's are they doing the right behaviors, okay? If there's no dot, by the way, if there's no dot on there, that means they haven't even put in a goal. So that might be a conversation to start with, right? Why haven't you put a goal in? Can I help you define your goal? All right, so now you can pick anybody in the system, and in the center panel, you see exactly the same data that they would see on their dashboard. So when you have that 1/2 hour every month with an agent where their hair isn't on fire about some transaction that's gone sideways, and you can actually talk to them about their business, you can do so in the same way with the same data that they have. Now, the one thing you can't see, and this is a super important point, make sure you listen to me very carefully on this, you may not see their actual sphere contacts. Those are theirs. That's their sphere. Now, why is that? Because they'll never use the system if they think you're going to steal their contacts, right? So there's a firewall there. But you can see how many they have. So in this particular case, Georgia Perez, whoever this agent is, has 205 people in her database. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Besides being able to make notes to myself about what I've talked to her about so I can remember what I've been coaching her on, I can go back into history. Anytime you click the Save Stats button you see at the top there, on the right-hand side is a list of every single time I've taken a snapshot of her performance. So I can go back, for example, to April 26th of last year and see, how was she doing then? And by doing so, I now get the same snapshot of her dashboard at that time. So I see she's doubled her goal. She's almost doubled her database. That's great. Why is she red? Why would she be red in status? Up in the upper left, that's Moxi coaching you. She still doesn't have a big enough database based on her personally set goal and the types of transactions she does. So this is all about tools for you to be a better coach with your agent. And finally, it all works on mobile, automatically, without any apps required. Because guess what? Nobody remembers to have an app either. So you can just use this on your iPhone, on your iPad, on your Android telephone or a tablet. You can use it on a desktop. You can use it in Safari on a Mac. You can use it in Edge on a Surface. Does not matter what technology you use to get to it. It will all work for you. So with that, I implore on you, again, something I said earlier, the people in this room are the keys to the success or failure of a system like this. Our mature clients have 65% adoption or more. I'll say that again. Our mature clients, which is people that have had our system in place for 2 years, have 65% or more of their agents using it. But it's dependent on you. You guys are the key link to making this happen. And of course, the brokerage is going to help you, and we will help you through the brokerage, but it's on you. So get familiar with this system, learn about it, use the materials that are going to be supplied, and help your agents get excited about it. And with that, I think I'm handing it back off, and I thank you very much for your time.